All right, today we're diving into something pretty extraordinary. It's a claim laid out in this absolutely massive 10-volume book. And the central idea? It's that hidden within the verses of the Quran, there's a mathematical structure, a kind of numerical miracle just waiting to be uncovered.
So, this verse from the Quran, it's really the cornerstone of the entire book's argument. The authors see this promise of signs, and they pose a really fascinating question based on it.
I mean, what if the proof of divine origin wasn't just in the beautiful poetry or the profound wisdom, but in the numbers themselves? What if it's hidden in a universal language that doesn't care about culture or time, mathematics? And that brings us to this monumental 10-volume work, Mujizat Numerical Quran, which claims the answer is a definitive yes. So just to be clear, our goal here is to be an explainer for that work. We're going to neutrally walk through its core arguments and the evidence it presents just to understand what it claims and how it builds its case.
Okay, let's jump right in. To really get this, we first need to understand the foundation of the book's argument. See, the authors don't just, start randomly counting things. They build a whole framework for how this kind of knowledge can even be studied.
And this is a really crucial point they make right up front. They define their work as numerica ilahiyya, or divine numerics. They're very clear. This is not numerology or some kind of simple mysticism. They frame it as a science, a systematic study of God's numerical language in His words.
And the authors are quick to point out that this idea isn't exactly new. They see their work as building on a very long legacy of inquiry within Islamic intellectual tradition. Think about it, from al-Khwarizmi developing algebra all the way back in the 800s to scholars like al-Kindi and Ibn Arabi, there's this long history of trying to understand the universe through math. This work, they argue, is just the latest step in that journey. All right, so with that foundation laid, we get to the really crucial part, the evidence. The book's entire case hinges on finding patterns that it claims are just way too complex and interconnected to be random chance. And it really zooms in on three specific, miraculous numbers to make its point. The first key number they put forward is 1729. Now, according to the book, this isn't just any number. It's supposed to have a very special connection to the very first chapter of the Quran, Al-Fatiha. And what's so cool is that in the world of mathematics, 1729 is already famous. It's known as the Hardy-Ramanujan number. There's this great story where the mathematician G.H. Hardy took a taxi to visit his brilliant colleague Ramanujan. He mentioned the taxi number, 1729, was pretty boring. But Ramanujan immediately said, no, it's a very interesting number. It's the smallest number that can be expressed as the sum of two cubes in two different ways. Just like that.
So, what in the world does a 20th century mathematical curiosity have to do with the Quran's opening chapter? This is where the book makes its really extraordinary claim. It's asking us to think about how a number, famous for its unique properties in modern math, could possibly be encoded into a text from 1400 years ago. Okay, the second number they focus on is 286. And this one isn't hidden away in some complex formula. It's right there in plain sight. It's the exact number of verses in Al-Baqarah, the longest chapter in the entire Quran.
Now, what's so interesting here is the parallel the book draws. In math, there's this concept called a perfect number. It's a number where all its divisors add up to the number itself, like 6 or 28. It represents a kind of mathematical harmony. The book argues that Surah Al-Baqarah, which contains the perfection of Islamic law and social structure, symbolically mirrors this idea. So you have mathematical completeness on one side and theological completeness on the other.
And that brings us to the third key number the book presents, 203. This one, they argue, acts as a kind of numerical bridge, connecting different parts of the Quran together in a way that couldn't be accidental.
And this is a great example of the book's methodology. So here's their two-part claim for 203. First, the formula. They say it comes from the 200 verses of Surah Ali Imran plus a symbolic 3, which gets you to 203. But then, and this is key, they look at its factors. 203 breaks down into 7 times 29. And the book argues that those numbers, 7 and 29, are themselves incredibly significant throughout the Quran's structure. It's all about these nested layers of meaning. Okay, so we've got these three different numbers. The book argues they aren't just isolated coincidences. Instead, it presents them as nodes in a huge, unified cosmic network. It's not just about individual numbers, it's about how they all connect. So you have all these different pieces of the puzzle. There's pattern 19, which is based on the opening verse. There's 1729, the link to Al-Fatiha. You've got 286, the symbol of perfection.
203, the bridge number, and even other patterns derived from those. The authors pull all this together and describe it as something like a divine blueprint or a cosmic symphony, where every single piece is interconnected, proving a single, unified design. But why does any of this matter? I mean, it's a fair question, right? And the final volumes of the book tackle that head-on. They argue this isn't just a code to be cracked for fun. They claim this numerical structure has profound, real-world applications. So the book claims this isn't just theory, it's a practical framework. They talk about developing new ways to teach the Quran to a digital generation. They even suggest using AI and machine learning to verify these patterns and maybe even find new ones. The idea is to provide new insights for science, for information theory, and even to foster dialogue between different faiths through the universal language of numbers.
And the whole work ends by circling back to a verse like this one. It's a powerful way to conclude, suggesting that just like we find signs of a creator in the heavens and the earth, maybe there are also signs embedded right into the text itself, just waiting for those of understanding. And after 10 volumes of evidence, the final question the book leaves you with is a profound one. Could the language of those signs really be mathematics?